It's 5:30 p.m. and it is August 31st, 2020. I will call to order a special meeting of the MISD Board of Trustees. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to Governor Abbott's temporary suspension of open meetings laws issued on March 16, 2020, and will be conducted via video conference and/or audio conference. The first item on the agenda is public comment. However, this evening we have no one signed up to address us in public comment. So we will go into closed session pursuant to sections 551.071 through 0.074 of the Texas Government Code, as well as section 551.076 and 551.0821 through 0.084. We do have two possible actions arising from closed session that we'll take up after we conclude with closed session. Thank you for joining us. It is 7:52 p.m. We're emerging from closed session to consider action item 3A. That is consideration and possible action to place superintendent on paid administrative leave.
Mr. Board President, I move that we place Superintendent Orlando Riddick on paid administrative leave effective immediately.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, second by Mr. Marquez. Any comments or discussion? All right, well, the comments are, I will say that the reason to take this action is that now that we have provided Superintendent Riddick with notice of intent to terminate his contract, there's a process which takes place whenever that happens. There are options available to Mr. Riddick to contest that action or not contest that action because that's going to be his focus, obviously. We don't believe it's either in his best interest nor the district's best interest for him to continue his duties as superintendent. So the motion has been made to place him on administrative leave so that the process may play out. However, it's going to play out. Meanwhile, we'll address either acting superintendent or interim superintendent topic in our next action item. Any other comments, discussion about this particular motion to place Superintendent Riddick on paid administrative leave effective immediately? All right, are y'all ready for the vote? All right, Mr. Trischetti, we need you on video. All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. I see Mr. Trischetti's hand, Mr. Kenny's hand, and Mr. Murray's hand. So it is unanimous. Thank you. All right, our next agenda item is 3B, consideration and possible action to appoint an acting superintendent or interim superintendent.
Mr. President, I move that we make Mr. Darrell Dodds as acting superintendent and authorize the board president to execute any related documents.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Murray. Any comments or discussion?
Well, I personally think that by having Mr. Dodds do this, be in this role, a lot of the things that we're going to be asking of that person include potential contract execution. And also in the interim, in the meantime, we're going to actively search quickly for an interim superintendent as soon as we can possibly get one, I hope.
Yeah, I think there may be a question out there. What's the difference between an acting superintendent and an interim superintendent? Well, the terminologies are different in that an acting superintendent refers to someone who's already existing on the staff, an MISD employee, who, in addition to their regular duties, assumes the duties of acting superintendent. Meanwhile, an interim superintendent is a non-existing staff person, a third party, who you ask to come in and act as superintendent until such time as you found your permanent superintendent replacement. So we did have a motion by Mr. We've already done that. Who moved it? You moved it, and Mr. Marquez seconded. No. Mr. Murray, I'm sorry. Mr. Bishop made the motion. Mr. Murray seconded. And as to elaborate on what Mr. Kennedy said, we're at an especially challenging time on COVID, and all our academic directors and other candidates, if you will, for acting superintendent will be continue to be focused on their academic responsibilities for the district, for students. Mr. Dodds, who also has a full plate of responsibilities, however, is being the one selected to be our acting superintendent because we believe that in our search for an interim superintendent, the most pressing needs that we'll have for the acting superintendent is to sign contracts, review other financial matters, and requires attention that Mr. Dodds is already giving to those things. So we think it makes sense for him to assume this role as an acting superintendent until such time as we find an interim superintendent, while everyone else can remain completely focused on their existing job responsibilities, particularly on the academic front. Any other discussion or comments about this motion? All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. I see Mr. Trischetti's hand, Mr. Murray's hand, Mr. Kinney's hand, as well as the 4 in here. It's passed unanimously. All right, it is 7:58 p.m. and we will adjourn. Thank you very much.